Woo! Hey everybody, Jim Sammons here, and welcome to the Kayak Fishing Show live. As always, brought to you by all our great sponsors scrolling across the bottom there, and particularly today brought to you by our good friend Patrick Sebile and a band of anglers. I haven't done a live show in, I don't know, over a month, I think. Life, just things going on. Decided to take some time off. So getting back into it, getting back in the rhythm. Forgive me if I make any mistakes today, because I'm just out of practice on doing these live shows. But we come on here every Tuesday, oftentimes on Thursday as well, and sometimes other days. And we show our old episodes of the Kayak Fishing Show, as well as have guests, sponsors, all kinds of things. Always talk about fishing, kayak fishing, all that sort of thing. So hopefully you can join us, and more importantly, hopefully you can support our sponsors who help support us, and share this with your friends. Of course, the shows are always better when you comment on the show and ask questions, and that really, really makes for a better show. Now, today's show, we had scheduled to air season 9, episode 9, was a shoot that we did with my friend Beatty, and we visited Patrick Sebile in Florida. As I recall, now I haven't watched this episode in a long, long time. Patrick didn't fish with us very much on the trip because he was sick. So I think we had a day with him out of the whole trip, but we kind of based ourselves from his place, and then we went out fishing with some of his prototype gear. Now, this was quite a few years ago. And Patrick's just had a ton of stuff going on. The expansion and growth of his new company, a band of anglers. Now, when I saw I was going to be airing this episode, I contacted Patrick to see if he wanted to join me on the show. And it just so happens he has some really, really cool stuff going on with a band of anglers right now. So I asked him to be on the show. He said yes. And so there's some cool opportunities he's got for you all. And if we don't even get to airing the show, I want to talk about what he's got going on with Band of Anglers, because you guys know I'm a big fan of Patrick's lures. I have way before a Band of Anglers, when it was Sebile lures. And I mean, these are my go-to gear. Always have my dart spins, and I always talk about the dart spins. I probably use that more than anything else, but all of his other great lures. And now, like I said, he's got some great stuff going on right now. So with no further ado, I'm going to drop these banners off of here and bring on my good friend, Patrick Sebile. Well, let's do that. There we go, Patrick. How are you, man?
Hey, doing great. Little rain.
Yeah. So you've been so busy. I've been trying to get a hold of you for weeks and weeks, and I haven't even talked to you or anything. And then all this new stuff came about. And so obviously that's what's been keeping you busy since before Christmas. And I hope everything's going well for you. I saw you've done a little bit of bass fishing. I saw you posted some pictures. I always follow what you're up to. I saw you're going to be doing some ice fishing, which just sounds cold.
It should be.
But what is going on, man? What is going on with the Band of Anglers?
Well, so thank you very much. And I'm super happy, you reached to me, and there was that show after a few weeks before the show, and I was like, oh yeah, great, thank you. So what happened was, for many of us, if not all of us, the last 2 years have been very unique. Crazy is a very simple word, but very realistic word to be used for those 2 years. And of course, Band of Anglers, my company, was no exception. We were in hot waters. I was very complicated, in the situation where it was. But basically, after the ICAST this summer, starting in August, we started to work in the direction to say, well, we need to put us back in a good track. And not only that, we need to really be able to boost again the company to grow back in the direction where we are going before the COVID thing started. And one of the key thing was, as you know, the name is A Band of Anglers because, well, there's many band of anglers out there. When you go fishing with your best friend on the water, you're a band of anglers, you know. And I wanted to give that name because that was the image of what I meant by that. My very inner circle band of anglers is me fishing with my twins, my 5 years old boy and girl. But by extension, I always wanted to create product. That's how I make a living. That's my passion, both of fishing and designing stuff, but also to be able to open to people truly. And that's why the idea was, well, trying to find some funding from big investor was quite difficult because at that time, the Wall Street thing was just going all the way to the roof. And most people will be like, oh yeah, if I have $1 to invest, I'm going to put that, short term in those crazy stocks that go up. So that was not helping me. And that's where the idea came. And thanks to a friend, Thomas Marchant, he brings us that opportunity to say, there's a platform or type of platform, there are several, who basically allow you to create a campaign that pretty much anybody will be able to reach and join and become a shareholder, be able to invest, because now it's no longer a matter of big amount. Anybody, if they're interested, both to make some investment that hopefully will pay back. That's of course the goal of any investment. But on top of that, to make an investment in something that, well, we dearly love, which is fishing, and fishing tackle is part of the fishing. And we started to reach that company who's the world's leader when it comes to investment crowdfunding. And the name of that company is Start Engine. So you may, and people who hear us right now may know or may not know about Start Engine, but Start Engine is an incredible company and they have a success story that's awesome. And I will mention this. Well, one of the shareholders who's also a spokesperson for Start Engine is nobody else than Mr. Wonderful,
oh, really?
So yeah, the Shark Tank, well, is one of the shareholders and is spokesperson for them. And that company have created algorithms to be able to pick up those of the company who reach to them. They basically only give a green light to 10% or less to the companies who reach them to go in a campaign. And they go through a process. We've been to that process since August, so I can tell you it's a very in-depth process. We have to provide a lot of things, and we have to go with compliance, make sure we're looking to raise capital. So you have to follow the rules from the government. You have to send the elements you put together, and they check if all is right. If there's something with question, they come back to you. You have to dig into that, answer all the question until you're able to have the green light. And part of the green light is they study what the company is, what is the potential of that company. And with a number of factors, they end up to say, yes, that's something we believe in, and we're okay to have you joining.
So no, just like fly-by-night company can jump on there and say, hey, invest in me. So there is a pretty extensive
extensive. I mean, you can jump in
process.
You can jump in, but you have to go. We went through several rounds. And every time when you go in those rounds, you're waiting to see, are you in the green or are you out? And right. At some point, because we are literally about, I think, the 555th company that have a campaign with them. So they have already a strong experience. And one thing I think is really important to highlight as well is in their field, they are the number one. The number two do about half the business they do. So in comparison, when you talk about fishing tackle in the fishing world, pure fishing is the largest, is the number one. But the number two is, give or take $50 or $80 million behind. Pure fishing being, I don't know the recent number, I'm no longer with them, but 4 years ago it was about, $750 million, and the number two was $50 or $80 million behind that. And the next one was another $50 million. In the case of the investment crowdfunding, literally speaking, Start Engine is twice as big as the number two. So they are really big and strong. And their success ratio, once a company ends up to reach to to be able to go through all the steps, the process, and get all the green lights. When they give you the final green light, they've been so finicky, they've been checking everything, that their success ratio to reach the goal, the raise that you put as goal, is the incredible number of 99.8%. So
just to be clear, this is not a GoFundMe kind of thing where people are just trying to buy a product and you're giving them a deal on a product just to raise funds. This is an actual investment in the company.
Yes, indeed. It's not a co-founding to get, like you just mentioned, help us to build that new product. And, when you get the first production, you get one for, half the price of the public price or something. No, it's nothing like this. It's literally be able to become a partner in my company and own shares. And that's why when, it was up to us to decide what is the type and the range of investment, because it's our company. We have to follow the rules of both Start Engine and the US regulations, of course. But then some decisions were ours. And me and my band, my friends who are part of this company with me, who built the company with me, we decided, let's start with a $200 bills. So for some people, $200 is definitely an important amount of money when you have a very low income. But at the end, it's overall, it's not really a big number, because I wanted that every single angler, if he or she is interested to join, be able to join and put a $200 bill and become a shareholder, which means, well, in a few years from now, when the company hopefully grows and do well, you may get, some benefits and, having the shares based on the shares you have given to you. Or if someday we end up to sell the company and the company have grown in value, then another way of return of investment. So
okay, just pause 1 second there, Patrick. So people who maybe are just joining us, we have Patrick Sebile here with us, and he's with a band of anglers. He's also a good friend of mine for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about an opportunity that he has brought to us to share to be able to invest in a band of anglers. If anybody wants to follow along on the page, if you go to abandofanglers.com, across the top of that page is a link to this page, which is the Start Engine page, and it gives all the information about the investment opportunity. So I just wanted to make sure that if anybody is listening and they actually want to follow along with anything that we're talking about, that you can see that. So I couldn't find a link that was small enough to put up for this page. But again, if you go to the A Band of Anglers page, which is right there across the bottom there, abandofanglers.com, there's a link at the top of his page that will bring you to this page with all the investment information. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there so people would understand if they wanted to follow along. So anyway,
thank you very much for helping to explain that. Yes. And definitely one of the ideas is not only people can invest and become a partner and shareholder in my company and have the benefits and the risk, it's still a company. Nobody knows in 10 years from now where we are, but we believe my creation have a strong, potential. I've been creating stuff. I mean, my first one ever, my first one lure, I designed it in 1976 when I was only 8 years old. And 10 years later, at the age of 18, I signed my first business contract, and I've been always all my life into this. So that's on that we base, the value of the company and number of things, the 24 awards I win with my creation in the industry and stuff like that. So for people to be able to become a partner, yes, on one side of it is be able to have shares of the company. On another side of it, and it depends on everyone, but that's the opportunity to know that when you buy and then when you use and fish and catch fish with my lures, then, well, you're a bit part of that then, even if you have only $200 in share in the company, then it become a bit yours, and you'll be able by yourself to fish, to show your catches on social media, help spreading the word about these lures, and the fact that there's our company you're part of, and you can, by your own fishing and the way you handle that, and I'm saying you, not about you personally, about the people interested into doing so, then you're able to help growing the value of the company, because the more the company will be known and the more people will use the lures that I create, well, the income of the company will be bigger, and the value and the return on investment potential grow together with that. So people be able to really have an impact locally or nationwide by being a shareholder with Abandoned Anglers.
Well, and I think it's important to note, when you started this company, one of our conversations at the very beginning in explaining things, and one of your frustrations even before you started this company, working with prior companies, that people you were working for were not fishermen. You had people who were in charge of what was going on, who were bean counters and accountants. And, they didn't use the gear. They weren't passionate about the sport. It was all straight up about the numbers, or they didn't quite get it. So I think it's very important to note that when you started a band of anglers, one of the key things is everybody fishes.
It is true. A band of anglers is made by anglers, with anglers, for anglers. And that's okay. I understand when many other companies, most of the people there have a job, like a regular, 9-to-5 job. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. There's not. I just don't want to work in such environment. We're about 18% of the US population fish at least one time a year. That means about 55 million people. So how comes that the jobs that the many fishing tackle company cannot be provided by having one of the things being said, hey, you want to join for that job, but are you an angler? You should be an angler, because we are companies that are not just there because of the money. Of course, the money always is a big drive. There's no discussion. Of course, I am for that. I want to make a living. I want to provide for my family. I want to have a better life for myself and for the people who work together with me. So yes, we are for that. But then I want to just make sure that the people who work in there, and every single one work in my team, every single one, including the accountants, they do fish. Yes, indeed. We made sure of that. Every single one.
And you fish. You're not just designing lures. I mean, if anybody who has joined us, you don't know who Patrick Sebile is, I mean, look him up. He's got more world records, I think, than anybody. It's certainly than I have, and a lot more fish caught than anybody I know. I mean, what is the number of species now, Patrick?
Well, 783, and in the ice fishing trip I'm going to in about a couple of weeks, kind of, there might be chances to catch burbot, which I never caught. So I'm hoping for my number 784 species.
Absolutely crazy. I mean, I've always heard that number, the numbers that you put out on different species. Of course, you started counting when you were young, right?
I started to count after the first day I went fishing in saltwater. I remember that very well. There was a neighbor of mine who was probably, give or take, 35 years old. And I was just, I'm not sure I was a teenager. I was maybe 9, maybe 10. And at the time, I was only fishing in the lakes, around the house for, perch and pike. And there were a few bass, shiners. And I remember very well the one day he took me with him on a party boat, but on a party boat, not in deep sea ocean, a party boat in the bay, Arcachon Bay, where it's like flat like a lake, but it's still saltwater. And I remember that very day, I caught 14 different species, which of course I never caught any of these before. And I was amazed that in one day, I was able to catch 14 species. Look, we're using hook number 6 or 8 and a piece of clam. So of course, when I'm saying 14 species, of course, don't think I was catching, 20-pound fish. I was catching half a pound, a quarter of a pound, maybe a pound. But just to watch that variety, I got so excited. I remember I took a little, notebook, and I started to write the name just for the fun of it. And believe me, still to this day, that's just for the fun of it. I keep the count because I find it fun. It's not
Right.
really, I know sometimes we put that in front because, well, okay, people see that as a marketing thing. Sure. But for me, I'm not running after new fish to say that's good for my marketing. I don't care. If it turns to be used, okay. But it's for me. It's a lifelong thing I've done. And I have no goal. I'm not saying, oh, I will stop at 1,000 or no, I don't care as many as I can catch. There's more than 30,000 fish species known to the human to this day in the world, in the oceans and lakes and rivers. There's surely no chance me or anybody will be able to catch them all anyway. But every time I catch a new species, it brings me back to those memories as a young kid of catching a new species. And I don't care in that case the size. Sometimes I'm about trophy fishing, and that's part of my fishing time too, is try to catch big fish. But just the species itself, especially when it's a new one, I can look that teeny guy, in detail, the color, number of spines on the dorsal fin, the color of the dots on the gill plate and stuff like that. I just love it.
No, I mean, honestly, I had never even thought about it. And then when we met all those years ago, and your numbers weren't this high, but it inspired me to go back and go, okay, write down all the species that I knew I had caught. And mine is all basically off my kayak. And the same thing is ever since then, every time I catch some new species, and it's usually while I'm fishing for something else. I don't go out and target these other little species, but every once in a while, you hook it and it's like, oh, cool. I got a new one to add to the list. Yeah. And I don't remember what I'm at now, but it's between, it's right around 200. I think I have 200 species off my kayak.
Nice.
And some are go down to Baja and we get what we always call the Mexico mystery fish, because you don't even know what it is. And so there's some of that, but it's not, I'm not putting it out there bragging or anything, but it's just like it's fun. It is fun, and it's really cool. So we have some comments here, mainly people just saying hello because I haven't been on in so long. So I want to acknowledge some of these people. Liam, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Dave, thank you for joining us. Dave is watching in Ottawa, says it's minus 35 degrees Celsius. No, thank you. And this is why I don't ice fish. Bobby saying, welcome back again. Thank you for joining us, Bobby. Always on here. Nicholas Beltran, what's going on, man? David Devine says, Patrick is a lure making genius. Well, yeah, I
don't know, but kind of you.
Thanks for a lot of good lures. I said I've been well, honestly, it's like since the Magic Swimmer was the first one to catch me, and I became such a huge fan of the Magic Swimmer, and then the Magic Swimmer soft, and I mean, and like I said, now I fish the dart spin as much as anything for the calico bass, and there's so much good stuff. The old stick shad and the curly min is another great one. So. Serge joining us from Ottawa as well. Volks Watson is says good to see us again, and he's actually watching like some of the others are watching on Kayak Fishing Tales. So if you are new to watching this, we are on our Facebook page, the Kayak Fishing Show with Jim Sammons Facebook page, the Kayak Fishing Show group on Facebook, as well as on Kayak Fishing Tales on YouTube. If you want your best chance of being notified of these live shows, if you go to Kayak Fishing Tales, subscribe, get notifications, and that way you're going to be notified of whenever we come on here. Josh Dolan, my buddy, this guy catches crazy big fish all the time. He's in that picture there. He's got an alligator gar. He is on a mission. This kid is on a mission all the time to catch the biggest fish.
Nice.
And all the time in hardcore. I think you saw he posted the other day. It's like he had buckets of water that they were dumping on the launch ramp so they could launch, because the launch ramp was so icy. So they were dumping water on it so they could actually use the launch ramp. So hardcore dude. And he's got some great videos as well. So everybody wants to check out Josh Dolan stuff. Who else we got here? Rudy Yarmouth, when are you getting out to film new shows? Well, again, I have no new shows airing for 2021. So because of parting ways with my producer and COVID and not being able to travel and everything else, no new shows are airing into 2021, but I will begin shooting in 2021. So waiting for more like spring, we'll start shooting for airing in 2022. So that's the hope anyway. Of course, it all comes down to sponsors and all that. So if you know anybody wants to sponsor these shows, that really helps. And a big thanks to all my past sponsors because they are all sticking with us.
Sure.
Nicholas says, still catching big peacocks in Miami. I don't know what loving these loader minnows.
Cool. Thank you, Nicholas.
So anyway, back to what you've got going on, Patrick. Would it help if I brought up your page if you want to talk about more about this investment opportunity?
Sure, if you don't mind.
So I can put that up there. I'm going to change this background a little bit. There we go. So it's not so busy behind us. So here we go. I got to go over here. So do you want to give a rundown of what's going on here? I can scroll through or what the investment opportunities are or anything like that.
Literally. So for example, what you can see, so we launched the campaign basically 5 days ago. And what you can see on the top right is that in just 5 days, we already have 92 people who have invested a total amount of $121,064. So honestly, we're very happy. You know, all those months we've been working with Start Engine, but they never had a fishing tackle company. It looks like very much we're the first ever fishing tackle company to do an investment crowdfunding campaign. So they didn't have any feedback of something before. They've done more than 500 campaigns, so they start to be pretty good and pretty sharp when it comes to new technologies or gadgets, drones and stuff like that. They currently have a very cool drone that can lift humans. Actually, as one of the campaign, there's maybe 200 campaigns that are running as of we speak. So that's why we're like, okay, let's start this thing. We have some hopes, we have some goals. But we didn't know, will we raise, $500 a day? I mean, honestly, when it's a new thing, you have nothing that you can realistically expect to. So in 5 days, we've raised more than 120,000. It's more than $20,000 a day. So that means definitely there's a number of people out there who are very happy to see that opportunity to jump in. And that's what you see here. So what our target is to raise $1 million because, well, actually with $1 million, we'll be able to do a good amount of things. I'll probably be able to hire another 1 or 2 person to grow back the company, place more order, receive some goods. I mean, as an example, you spoke of the dart spin. Some of the best-selling color of dart spin, we were out since basically June last year. And because it was a tough year to us, like to many other companies, we are not able for several months to reorder product. So we're trying to focus on selling what was available. But as things get much improved, the past couple of months, we've been able to place a number of orders and we started to get deliveries. For example, the loader minnow that, Thomas was just speaking about, that loader minnow, we're waiting for like a year to have them. They were on the catalog. We showed them on the show. So finally, when we received the delivery in December, we were able to make people happy. There were orders that were 10 months old that were waiting to get the product. So that's why the goal of 1 million is not just a number that we throw in the air. That was a calculation to say, okay, what do we need realistically to make something to first put us back on good tracks, and secondly, to really help us to boost that company and to move forward pretty well in 22 and the future. So that's what it is.
So is your biggest goal on this investments, I mean, for the company, is it to increase your inventory, get back in stock on inventory?
Yeah, it's a mix of things. So definitely the inventory is definitely part of that. Be able also to go back in marketing plan, because, it's like the most beautiful girl in the world. If the most beautiful girl in the world stays in her bedroom and nobody sees her, nobody knows she's the most beautiful girl in the world. So I have a range right now. We have 5 brands. We have about 30 different lures. But because we are not able really in the pandemic to promote them, there are still many people who don't know about those lures. There's even still people who don't know that Patrick Sebile have a new company. There's almost every day when I'm on a show, when there's an opportunity to meet people, almost every day there are still people who believe I'm still working with my old previous company, Sebile and Pure Fishing, which I'm no longer for 4 years already.
Right.
And that was because of a lack of funds. We didn't have the proper capacity to go back in marketing and make sure that with key media support to be able to bring back that knowledge to people. So definitely that's also part of what we plan to do. And we like to grow a bit the people who are working with us, because as we shrank a bit the team, and we are 2 people less now than a year and a half ago, but the amount of work basically is the same. So what does it mean? It means the one guy named CEO is the one guy who works 7 days a week. And I have 2 5-year-olds. So as soon as I can have a few more people joining in, to help us working and growing this company, well, I'll be able to have a bit more time to keep taking care and having more fun with my kids, and possibly also to go back a bit more for fishing, because, well, believe it or not, when you spend your 10 hours a day, almost 7 days a week on the computer, that left you very, very little, if like no time to go fish. So that's why that $1 million, if we can raise that with the support of people, that really help us big time and drive us towards what we believe is a very potentially very strong, very good future for this company.
So I'm just scrolling through here. You have a $200 investment, a $500 investment.
So please let me highlight that. You see that light green window that's named friends and family.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you see is that there's 15% bonus shares. And you see what is left is 17 hours, 11 minutes, and 9 seconds right now. What does it mean? It means that to help starting that launch, to help starting that campaign, for someone who spends, say, $200, which is the minimum investment, well, you get an extra 15% of shares. So currently, each share is valued at $5, and that's part of what went into commission and was approved. That's in offer, the value of the company, everything you see on the top. So if you spend, say next week, if you spend $200, you will have 40 shares. But right now, if you do that, like right now, when the show is done in half hour or 1 hour from now, if you spend $200 instead of receiving 40 shares, you will receive 46 shares. That means 15% more.
Okay.
So it's a way. That's a way to give a treat basically to the people who are willing to join us very early. So the clock is ticking.
It is ticking. 17 hours left.
Yep. And $200, as you see just below, $200 is the minimum investment. I spoke about that a bit before, but I wanted to make sure that almost anybody will be able to join. So if you want to join us, just the number is really important. It's how we can grow our team, our band. So even if you have just under $200 in your pocket and you're interested to give it a try, to support us and to have the chance, if the company succeed, to have a return on investment on that, you can join us for just $200.
And so that gets in their shares. I see this also has access to exclusive quarterly webinars.
Indeed. So every investor, any level, when you invest $200, I will have once every 3 months, I will have a webinar that will be just dedicated to the investors. And maybe one webinar will be about, bass fishing at nighttime with the full moon. And another one can be about, do we want to change the hooks on our lure? I mean, it will be all kind of topics, but those will be live and dedicated to the partners. And people will be able to ask me questions like right now in your show. People will be able to ask me any kind of question. So that will be true for any level, any investment level.
And as I scroll through these at 500, now this you've got it set up at 200, 500, 1,000. Can somebody come in and say, I've got $300?
Well,
I mean, is it set at those increments, or is it?
Yeah.
Can you come in at?
Yeah, you can go at any number you want, literally. But by the perks goes by level. So if you go when you reach $500, you still have access to the quarterly webinars because any investment will give you access to that. But on top of that, if you invest $500, you will have a $50 gift card. Now, if you invest $800, you still have a $50 gift card. You don't have a bigger one. If you want to have a bigger gift card, which is in percentage, in proportion, a bigger one, then you need to reach $1,000, where you will have basically 125. So you can see easily that if you make 2 times 500, it will be only 2 times $50 gift card. So yes, indeed, if you put more money, if you pay $1,000, you have more value in the gift card that you will have. And of course, that's a gift card that people will be able to use on a Ben Wengler's website. Now, the gift card will not be linked to a name. That means you are a grandfather and you like to invest in a Ben Wengler's, but your grandson or granddaughter loves fishing, you'll be able to give for Christmas or their birthday or any time when you want. You will be able to give them that gift card. It's not limited to the person who will receive or who will make the investment. So same thing when we go to the next level, $2,500. In that case, that will give you a total gift card of $350. Actually, that's going to be a set of two cards of $175, just in case maybe you want to use $175 for you and want to give $175. Not everybody maybe feel like they want to buy $350 in lures. That's why we decided to break it down into gift cards.
I got it. Hey, there's a picture of me on there.
Yeah, here you are. So look, here you are, and next to you are my twins. And me, Mr. the Bear with a big bass. And on top, in the middle, on the top, it's one of the partners. His name is Brandon with the redfish.
Okay.
But yeah, nice. You see my kids. That's why I wanted to have the kids, because that's really what the company is about. If you look the logo of a Ben Wengler's, well, what do you see? You see the world, and in front of the world, you see myself fishing with my son and my daughter, and you see a few stars for. I just like to spread the subliminal message. The few stars you see on the side, actually, it's not something random. I pick up those stars from the official flag of the great state of Florida, which I love. That's why I live in Florida, because I love Florida. So that's it. Now let's go back on the perks. So the next level, you see, we jump from 2,500, then we jump to 10,000 because we are thinking. Again, that was a long process. We try a number of things. We're thinking, okay, good. What makes sense? We're thinking if someone is really looking to get very serious and put a large amount, this person might not be so much interested into having a bonus card, gift card. So that's why at $10,000, then that means people will have an additional 5% shares. And then if we go to the next level, 25%, then they will have an extra 10% bonus share.
Wow.
Now, those are pretty strong investment, obviously. And then we created the two next ones, 50,000 and 100,000, where then not only we grow the percentage of bonus share. So in the case of the 50,000 perks, you can see there's a 12% bonus shares. But then I added 1 day of fishing with me here in Florida. And again, like the gift card, it's transferable. Again, same situation. Maybe the person who wants to invest is interested about the investment themselves, but maybe they want to give that fishing day to someone else. Now, don't get me wrong. If one of you guys is a dad and you have your son with you who loves fishing, I'm not going to say, hey, only one of you come. Dad and son or two sons will be able to come. But we will go on a boat and I will be with you. So it's not about, but you'll be the investor. So if you have, again, your son, your daughter, your wife who want fishing, same thing. And at 100,000, it's not one, it's 2 days. And in between, we will also cover the cost of hotel and restaurants. We don't include the plane tickets because, I don't know, if the person who invests come from I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, from France, why not, or whatever. I mean, that's their thing. But people will come here in Florida. We will be in touch directly. So we'll pick up two things. We will pick up what type of fishing do they want to do. That's why I didn't say bass or tarpon or snook, because if I say tarpon, and if the guy is a bass lover, he might be not interested or disappointed. So I fish everything, as you know. So I
Right.
will talk with the person what they want to fish here in Florida, they're interested with. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to pick the dates, both that make sense to their schedule, but also to give them the best chance given the moon phase and stuff like that, if it does matter.
Well, just scrolling through this, I mean, there's obviously tons of information on this page. Again, here's the link. It's bandofanglers.com. And there is a link to this page that we're showing at the very top of bandofanglers.com. So that was the easiest way for me to put it, because I couldn't find a small enough link that I could put up on the page here. But you said it was Start Engine /
Start Engine in one word. Start Engine. You see it written on the top left corner below live. Start Engine in one word .com/ABOA, which is the nickname for A Band of Anglers. So startengine.com/ABOA.
So that's probably the best way to find it. So how long is this this offering going to last?
So it's supposed to last for 3 months. So basically we started Wednesday, which I think was the 19th of January. So from there, it's going to be running for 90 days or less. I mean, if we reach our goal in a month, then, then be it. It's the goal is not to have that lasting for a month and years.
I'm now looking at this offering max says 1.07 million. Is that what your goal is?
So don't ask me, not that I don't want to say, but there's some reason of why not exactly 1 million, but 1.07, but it's more
okay.
So it's the way it goes. If you look on their website, you will see we're not the only one. When people look for 1 million, they say, hey, okay, you go to there. I think it's about some regulations. So when you pass that 1.07, if you go in 10.72, then you go in different set of regulation or something like this. I'm sorry, I'm not a specialist of that, but there's some reason for that. That's why. But in short, we say we're looking for 1 million.
Okay, well, so you don't need that many investors. Just a few to come in with that $100,000 mark, right?
No, but it's not the wrong way to say that. Of course, you're right. But in fact, really, to me, it's no bullshit. I know some people have fun when they hear me saying that, and I'm glad if that makes them having fun. But the more people I will have, the more I will be happy. And that's very sincere. I do a living like all of us. Most of us, we need to have a paycheck to pay our bills and everything, right? That's life. But really, there's something on top of that. Designing lure is my passion, and that have been since almost as much as I recall in my life. And be able today, thanks to that platform, to open, my company to potentially a big number of anglers, people interested to put, as I say, even just a $200 bill, makes me feel like, honestly, the more people I will have, I'm not trying to say, hey, I want to raise $15 million. I'm saying the more people I can have, really, I would be very happy of that. And that's just the truth.
So my wife corrected me. It's 2022 for 2023. Thank you, dear. I don't even know what year it is.
I do so all the time.
That's why she's here. Keep me in line.
Good.
So I'm supposed to be airing this episode, so I'm gonna bring, actually I need to.
So that episode you're gonna bring, if I recall well, that's basically the first time ever you use what was my prototype dart spin. I don't even think I have a name at that time for the dart spin. I don't think that was the case, huh?
Again, I haven't watched this episode in forever. I just know that I was there with Brooks, and then I know we actually had some of the poppers.
Yes, I had some already.
I'm pretty sure Brooks was doing really well on the popper, as I recall. It's been, like I said, it's been such a long time. Now I gotta
flies.
I gotta set it up because I switched over to sharing your page. So 1 second.
It's the reflection in the glasses.
Oh yeah. Oh, I also remember that there were areas that, because basically you just gave us guidance. You said go fish this area because, like I said, I seem to recall you had just gotten back from China, and you were really sick. You were wearing masks before masks were cool.
Yes, yeah. I've been traveling to Asia basically since back in 2003 or 2004. And for a long time, I noticed people there, when they start to be sick and they have the flu, they, by themselves, it's cultural, as a way and a mean of respect to others, they wear the mask. And I saw that a long time ago, and I was thinking that, to my point of view, is a good thing, that people by themselves are willing to wear a mask. So when they are in the bus, when they are in restaurants, I mean, all kind of place work, if they're coughing, they are less likely to pass sickness to others. And I started to have mask in my backpack, which is my most precious tool when I travel all around the world. I have a backpack that's very well thinked, and every single thing in that backpack is there for a reason. And there's always a pack with 3 masks for almost 20 years in there. And I remember once flying back, like on a 16-hour flight or 15-hour flight, and literally a lady next to me was coughing big time, like she was quite sick, and she will never put her mouth or a tissue or anything in front of her mouth. So right away I put my mask, and for those 15 or 16 hours she coughed quite a lot. And I'm pretty sure some of the people around, I mean, that's the nature of microbes and virus, those that are respiratory, they are more or less, but they are contagious, and that's the way they spread. It's when you have the droplets, you're coughing. And I was able to be good, but I don't recall exactly why was I sick when I saw you. I remember I was sick, unfortunately. We set, guys, when Jim set a TV show, he reached to me or to anybody probably like 6 months in advance.
At
There's
least,
all
yeah.
the flights, you have to book for the cameraman. There's the whole thing. So of course I made sure that the date will be good for me and everything will be good. And that's terrible to me to receive my dear friend Jim, and we're supposed to go fishing for 3-4 days, shooting a TV show, and me be sick and not being able to leave the bed was definitely.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. It's just like, we plan our shoots a year in advance or whatever, and
yeah.
Of course that's when there's going to be a hurricane. And that's why one of the other times I sat in your house for like 5 days.
Yeah, it was about 10 years ago.
During Hurricane Sandy.
We have a massive, Sandy, was it?
Yeah.
And I know that we have to put the hurricane shelters down, so the house was very dark, and we even they cut the electricity for at least a few hours. And there's nothing you can do, and you hear the wind is hurling out there. The hurricane was not right on us, but it was close enough that we have maybe, I don't remember the speed of the wind, but maybe 90 miles an hour or something. And we were only able to go fishing the very last day, and the water was all brown because it was just with all the wind for a few days.
Well, what I remember specifically about that, more so than just being locked down, was we had brought the kayaks up onto the lawn away from the water. Yeah. And we wake up in the middle of the night, and we had tied them off, and we wake up and the kayaks were trying to float away.
Yes.
Because just the storm surge had come up in there. And so we're out there in the dark trying to rescue kayaks.
And I remember
beat up.
Literally the water level was 1 inch lower to the carpet in my house. We were that close to get salt water coming in. And of course, I mean, nobody wants to have water in your house is bad, but salt water in your house is really, really bad. We are that close, 1 inch.
Right. So anyway, with no further ado, let's roll this episode. And like I said, it was with my good buddy Brooks Beatty.
This week on the Kayak Fishing Show, we are on the Indian River in Florida. We're hooking up with our good buddy Brooks Beatty from Jackson Kayak, and also my very good friend Patrick Sebile. Stick around; it's gonna be a great show.
I'm gonna skip over the intro.
On this trip, I got to meet up with Jim and Will, and we headed down to Florida. We hit Fort Pierce first, met up with Patrick Sebile, which is really cool. I known him for a long time because of his swim baits and all the other lures he's come out with, so it was cool to meet him, hang out with him in person. Unfortunately, he was sick, so he didn't really get to hit the water with us. But he did set us up on a place to go fish and set us up with some prototype lures, so that's cool. These fish have never seen these lures before, so we had a little advantage there.
You know, Jim, we know each other for like a dozen of years, probably, maybe 15,
least,
you know, and I always send you some stuff before anybody else has. So you're going to be the very first with those prototypes almost finalized, you know,
Very cool.
Straight from the mold, very fresh, you know, you can tell, straight bait. So that's one of the new bait. That's Minnow with a blade, and there's a larger model also.
Oh, look at that beast!
Yeah, again, you know, if you want to target the big guys, that's one of these. And
I still love those big ones.
In different ways. There's a cut in the middle. You can do a lot of things, including you can have a long leader. So when you grab a tarpon or a big snook sometimes, and if your leader is not that big, well, the advantage is let's go away like this, and you get the fish away from the main leaders. So some toys to play with, guys.
Very cool. Yeah. Thank you.
You're a lot less hairy there, Patrick.
Well, we
It goes this way.
have come out to the Indian River to hook up with our buddy Brooks Beatty from Jackson Kayak, and of course the ever famous Typhoid Mary, Patrick Sebile. So Patrick's actually just going to show us a couple spots. He can't fish with us today. He's got a very bad cold, so he's going to go take care of that today, and hopefully we're all going to fish again tomorrow and get Patrick out on the water with us. But at least we have his guidance on where to fish this area right near where he lives.
Not we have to see it today that I was wearing the mask, and now we're in a pandemic where I'm not wearing a mask. Yeah.
And you no longer live there.
No,
Dolphins.
we're only 1 hour and a half away. Not that far.
You cross and you go and you enter into here. Quite often you will find snooks right in the middle of that, some reds. That's really well. And then you go really on the flats, fish the flats.
I would be more than happy to catch a 25-pound tarpon. That would make me happy.
Yeah, I've never landed a tarpon.
Oh, yeah?
I've had them on, but never landed one.
Again.
Oh, is that another roll there?
Yeah. I mean, the rod might be okay, but here I only fish with 80-pound braid.
This is,
Okay, so
probably 60-pound braid, and I have 60-pound fluoro, or 50-pound.
Yeah. All right, Jim. So we arrive on that canal, you know, and like often on the canal, you know, things get narrower, the fish are more compact. So that's really the kind of place I really like to fish. It's pretty good for snook, especially. You have always all year round some small tarpons, and somewhere you can find some decent size. But in winter, it's more. Most of the fish are just in the 10 to 30 pounds, which is fantastic and plenty for light spinning technique. So
you're thinking we should go from here and head up underneath the tracks all the way back up in there?
Yeah.
Is that what you're suggesting?
You have like 4 or 5 miles of fishing area. So
Oh, wow.
There's plenty.
And these boats aren't getting up there. I gotcha.
I remember that being a really cool place to paddle. I mean, it was just a really
every time I get a chance to, if we're in Florida or at a trade
go there.
show, I always
Amazing.
make some time to hang out with Patrick, because the thought process he puts into making his lures, the thought process he makes into fishing. I mean, he's probably one of the most accomplished anglers in the world, with many, many IGFA records and more species caught than anybody I know. Like I said, I'm at 150 or something like that, and he's well over 700 species of fish that he's caught. I was really bummed we didn't get to actually fish with him, because that's when I learned the most. Just getting to fish with him and watching him fish, and he will explain why he's doing something. And it's always just so much fun and so educational to be able to hang out and fish with him.
Getting all GoPro ready to capture all the day's glory. And then I'm going to go catch a bunch of fish.
The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by Jackson
Trying to
Kayak.
skip over these
One
commercial
family,
breaks a little bit
many
since we've been
waters.
running a little long.
Raining up there.
Got Robert Cross says he's watching from New Zealand. Love your lures,
Hey, Robert.
Patrick. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Robert.
And I love and miss New Zealand,
All right,
actually. Where I have
Oh,
a
I
bunch of
love
friends.
New Zealand.
Oh, me too.
It's been a few. I've been 4 times, and it's been quite a while since I've been there. My wife and I actually went to a street fair the other day, and there was a place that was selling authentic New Zealand meat pies.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that's worth going to New Zealand for,
Okay.
right? Alone is the meat pies. And I tell you what, this place that we got them from here, they were pretty darn close. They're really good. Patrick, how's your Chinese or whatever that is?
No, I know how to pronounce a few words, but that I have no clue. But Lihoma.
Hey, thanks for joining us. All right, let's keep it rolling.
You ready to move back in here?
Yeah, man.
We are in Fort Pierce, Florida. My first time here. Met up with Patrick Sebile. He hooked us up with some sweet prototypes. So we're going to put those boogers to work today. And going to hopefully catch some big old snook. He said there'll be some reds on the flat later. So I'm inland in North Carolina, and anytime I can go to salt and just crush these guys, I love it. Oh, he's on. That didn't take long.
It's something small,
Little jack, maybe?
little red.
Little red?
Yeah. I'll take it. Oh, it's got that beautiful blue tail too.
Something busting right back here by the cameraman. See if I can catch it.
That was my first
Because
catch on a
Patrick,
dart
was
spin.
not able to fish with us because he was sick.
Great.
At least he was able to give us some guidance and told us some areas to fish.
And this week with Jim Sammons, he catches, oh my gosh.
Oh, that's old Jack.
Nice. Yeah. I can tell by the way he took off. They're so strong.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
dolphin everywhere.
I made a terrible cast, totally missed the area I wanted to cast to, and I ended up in the deeper water, and on the fall it got hit.
I told you mine got hammered a little bit ago.
There you go.
And they're
Based
such
on what Jim
good
told me,
fighter.
you got to make a bad
Oh.
cast first. So
I know. I hear people all the
I
time
don't know
say
how to do
jacks,
that.
crevel are trash fish and all that. But I will
So it's
take
really
them
nice
all
having
day
my,
long. They are so
Dragonfly
fun.
Fish finder on
They're
here
so
because
fun. The fight
I
is
see the
great.
bottom
And in
contour
Fort
of the
Pierce,
drop-offs.
I caught fish
It's
until
not a real
all the way,
gradual, it's a
to
real stair-step, so it's
48
kinda working
pounds.
the edge
That's
of
my
that.
biggest in Fort
Got that
Pierce. So
nice
that's
red
there's
fish
some
right
very,
off that
very
edge.
solid ones.
Oh, there's another one. I love fishing the flats because I love sight fishing. Sometimes for me, I get caught up looking for fish more than fishing for fish, but it's the hunt, it's the stalk, it's just the beauty of seeing into the water and seeing what's going on in their world, and just draws me back.
Brooks fished Patrick's new popper lure. And the interesting thing about that lure is that he makes it in a variety of weights, with a lot of the design features put in there to give you castability, really good distance. But what Brooks was doing, I was watching him, is he'd give it a couple good pops, and that thing really threw a lot of water, and then he would slow it down and walk the dog with it. So the ability to fish one lure in a couple of different ways on one retrieve is pretty intriguing.
I think it drew the attention of the fish, and then subtly walking it is, I think the fish realized it was an injured bait, and so that was when he opted to strike. So yeah, caught it on the prototype that Patrick gave us. It's a cool bait because you can, big splashes, I think is what drew its attention. And then I subtly, it will walk when you can walk the dog with it as well. So I think, like I said, drew it with the big splash and then subtle, and he just hammered it. Let me get this, show you here what I got. Yeah, I mean, if I would have lost this fish, I would have thought he was 3 times the size. They're just so strong. I love them. And he go. Pow, 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 pow. And you don't have to put that in there. That's not my most shining moment, actually. I would appreciate that. Woo! Oh, is that snook? Snook. Dang. Look at this guy. Right where he's supposed to be.
That was a flying snook.
Yeah.
Ooh-wee. I was right up against those pilings up there.
Right on it, huh? Dang, he got some fight to him, huh?
Yeah.
Too bad I was not with you guys.
Not
I was
bad
in
one.
my
I
bed.
mean, it's not huge or anything, but
And it was funny. I think I got all my fish on the dart spin, and he got all his
fighter.
fish on the popper.
not huge. But man, they're just a
So
tough
funny.
fish, and they're
Yeah.
acrobatic. Super fun fish. You know, this was the primary target species we wanted to catch. It's not a monster by any means. They get some really big ones, but I couldn't be happier. Fun way to start the day. That's species number 3 for the morning, so can't beat that. That's just good fun.
The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by Jackson
So
Kayak.
while that's doing its commercial
One
thing,
family,
on
many
the
Power Pole Micro Anchor.
SLD,
Swift, silent,
On the
secure, and
popper,
small. Sebile reels.
I think one of the
delivering
cool things
highest
about that, and
quality
I think we
fishing
showed it
reels,
right at the very
period.
beginning, was just on that slow retrieve
Mhm.
was the swimming action.
And now you
mean,
know I have the 4-inch. I send you the 4-inch in SLD that have that beautiful action in just 4-inch long and almost 2-ounce weight. So
Yeah, so it's all about that, like we said in the show, it was castability, and then the ability to fish it like in one retrieve in a couple of different ways, whether you're ripping it or, like I said, getting that just nice swim. They're just awesome lures.
thank you.
awesome lures. And it's funny because I mean, what you had that, and you had the prototypes of the dart spin. That was where a band of anglers started. With those two.
Yeah, and there was the pencil. That was the other lure at the very beginning. I have to start it somewhere, of course, but the pencil was a bit bigger, I think, than the popper, and maybe I didn't have any end. I don't recall that very day, to be honest. So, but maybe that's why I just provided you the popper. But anyway, the popper being a bit smaller than the pencil was more of a go-to wide range of bait.
Right.
If you were to go in the ocean side, then the pencil will be, because it was larger. I mean, the size available at the moment was making more sense when you were along the beach, where you can find a cobia or 100-pound harpoon, bigger jacks and stuff like that.
Okay. Where did I hit? Well, it's just so cool to see how far they've come
Splash, and then little subtle walks.
since fishing prototypes.
Yeah.
Oh, he's on it.
And now we have like 30 lures. So here you go.
Come on. Hit it again.
Where? Right over there?
So I think that technique actually works. Big splash, draw them in, and then little subtle little twitches.
There
Yep,
you
there
go.
he is.
Boom.
Nice.
Live.
It's nice when you call your shot like that.
Yeah.
Like I drew it up. All right, so another jack on the I think he said there's another one behind me, but on the pop walk method, and I mean, I guess if I had one bait to pick, it would always be a topwater. So hope this lasts all day.
Boom.
Up here in Fort Pierce, supposed to be fishing with our buddy Patrick Sebile, but he's come down with the creeping crud. But he pointed us in the right direction, so we're kind of winging it, and we're just having a ball, you know, laughing all day, catching fish all day, having a lot of fun. You know, they aren't big fish, but they're fun fish. It's been consistent. Nothing to complain about here.
Here, you want to talk in my mic? What was that? Oh, huh? What? Oh, there's more down there? Is there bigger ones? Any bigger guy? Oh, okay, there's a bigger one. And he gone.
I'm using 50-pound Seaguar braid and then doing a uni to uni to Seaguar Fluoro Premier leader. The thing about these fish, we might get into a big tarpon, we get into snook. Snook have super sharp gill plates. They'll flare those gill plates out and they'll cut through 6. I mean, Patrick was saying use 80-pound leader. I didn't have any with me today, so, but I will bump that up tomorrow. I'm pretty stoked. I got the new Omega rod holder from Yak Tack. I mean, I got like one of the very first shipments, kind of sorting out how I want to have it and what position it's in. But that's the nice thing. It can be mounted in so many different positions. This is the Pro, I believe what they call it, has an extra arm. So you can articulate it in a lot of different ways. But one of the things I think I like the best about it is so many other rod holders like this. If you want to change position, if you want to rotate it, you have to pull the whole thing out and turn it. Where this has just got a little lever here. I push in on it, let go of that, and it drops right back down. And it's got a lot of indexes in there, so you can really almost micro adjust it. So it's really slick. It works with bait casters, spinning reels, fly rods. I mean, it works with every kind of rod. You can even use it as a straight up rod tube if you want, by angling it straight up, closing the latch there and going in this way. So very slick new rod holder from Yak Attack.
Got a real frisky one here. Hey. Came around the corner.
A little
Throwing
trout.
the same little bait after I just caught that other jack. Oh, looky there. You got a good grip on it. And caught me a little speck here. So starting to get the species on the board. No, Jim's got 4. But one's a gar, so that's -1 really. Oh. Please don't put any of that in there. Please.
Yeah.
Well, we've had
As soon as you say don't put it in, you know it's going to end up in there.
Caught a lot of fish early, kind of slowed down. So we're going to take a break right now and stick around after this message and see how we do.
The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by Power Pole Micro Anchor, Kokatat, Orion Coolers,
The Power Pole Micro Anchor. I tell you what,
Seagull
fishing the
Reels.
flats, that is such a great tool.
Warner,
Yes.
You know what was also awesome is the last time we fished with you is you talked us into getting those anchor wizards. And for the little bit deeper water, those things
Yeah.
were fantastic.
Yeah. That's why, I mean, I have power poles on anything I have, because when you want to fish in shallow water, that's such an incredible tool that helps you to position yourself the best way possible. I mean, look, I'm on my egret boat there. You see the two power poles in place.
Well, this
Yes,
has been a
indeed.
run and gun kind.
Is that the boat that burned up?
It is. Yes. Crazy stuff. I have to jump in the water. Yeah.
You're fishing with like high tran, right?
No, that was with Constantin, who's his partner and best friend, and there was another friend of ours, and that was the day, actually, the morning of the day where France won the World Cup. Yeah, at soccer.
Oh.
Like a week or so, or a few days after the ICAS, actually. And yeah, we went fishing early in the morning, and I want to change place. The motor don't start. I tried to start it again, and there was a little boom, and I saw some flames on the side and of the motor, and I was not like shaken. And I saw that, and I was about to grab the extinguisher, and incredibly enough, at that moment, my eyes crossed the eyes and the sight of Constantin, and then he jumped in the water, and it was like I have no more control of myself, jump in the water as well. That's a crazy thing. We read after that that's a mechanism as human we have, like many species. When a flock of birds, one of them see danger, they just go, and the other one don't try to look where the danger is. They just go, and that's what happened. And that's incredible. When you hear about that, when you read about that, it's one thing. When it happened to you, it's crazy, because I just have to take the extinguisher and stop the flame. That's all I have to do. Jump in the water. Incredible.
Yeah, because once a boat starts to go, it's hard to stop it.
Yeah.
On a trip, last week we started off fishing with Patrick Sebile, or wanting to fish with Patrick Sebile, and he was so sick that though he was able to help us out, we didn't actually get a chance to fish with him. He gave us a call. He knew we were scrambling for things to do, so he invited us to come back, more driving, and to actually have a chance to fish with him. He said he was feeling better. He would probably fish off his boat, and we were going to fish off the kayaks. But at least it was an opportunity for me to fish with one of my very good friends and one of the best anglers in the world.
Well, I'm glad. Since the past 1 month I've not been fishing. I was traveling for work, and I came back and I have a bad acute bronchitis. So that's my first morning going fishing. And I'm here with my good friends, Jim Sammons and Brooks. So here we are, casting a lure, looking for a snook, tarpon, a red, whatever, on the water, finally. That's good.
Well, honestly, we brought the Krakens because we were supposed to be going fishing offshore for sailfish. And this is the offshore boat. So that's why I brought it. I mean, it's an excellent paddling boat. We're actually putting in some miles today, so I'm not disappointed I have it with me at all. I wouldn't mind having a boat for some of this stuff that I could stand up in. I'm a little envious of Brooksy over there being in the Mayfly, so he can stand up and kind of sight cast at stuff and get a little better visual than me, because I'm not very good at standing up in the Kraken. But paddling-wise, I'm very happy to be in the Kraken.
When the snook are not aggressive, typically I will fish very slowly and just bumping the lure on the bottom with little jigs, very gently, and let the bait drift. So you need to find just the right weight, the right jig head, to really drift gently in the current and just go up and down when you want it to.
The lure that I used had the most success on was his new soft plastic. It doesn't have a name yet.
Dart spin.
With a spinner blade on the tail. The nice thing is at a very slow retrieve, that tail spun. It had really good action. I used it in a variety of ways. I could burn that across the surface, and you could see the tail kicking right on the top. or I could fish it really slow, which was probably in the colder water conditions we had was the best way to fish it. I was kind of just pulling it up, getting that tail spinning and letting it drop, and then reeling it up and letting it drop. So kind of an up and down motion, just bouncing it off the bottom. And that was pretty much the most successful way I fished that lure.
Oh, I just got short bit. Oh, come on. We got a double.
Ladyfish. Ladyfish, always great fighting fish. Yeah. That's called the poor man's tarpon. But you know what? For the same size, I promise you, it fight better than the tarpon. If you got a tarpon the same 2-3 pound weight and tackle.
Those ladyfish can throw a lure like no other.
That's true. That's really true.
Finally, one fish. Oh, yeah, there are days like that, right? You've been fishing on those tough days? Well, we do too.
The fishing was bad. I mean, Brooks got a couple hits and missed. I had a ladyfish on that jumped next to the boat and came off. I don't think it ever got on camera. Patrick did get a ladyfish, but it was just a super fun day. It's always fun to fish with Patrick and always educational. Anytime I have a chance to fish with a guy, I'm going to do it. So, you know, though we didn't get the fish, we still got to spend more time with a great guy, and fishing with Brooksy, of course, is always fun and full of laughs. So, you know what? We made the best of it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this trip to Florida with us, visiting Patrick Sebile and learning about the process of making lures. I know I learned a lot. We had a great time fishing with our good buddy Brooks. Always a laugh right when we're around him. I just hope you enjoyed the show, and please join us next week on the Kayak Fishing Show.
There you go.
There we go. There's the episode. I'll close it so it doesn't start listening to that. So yeah, super fun, and it's cool to go back there and see, you know, where it's come from. Like I said, the prototypes, and then to really, I mean, said a lure that for me, the dart spin has become probably my biggest go-to lure for so many different species. I mean, that's the thing for me is like I've caught so many different species on that lure. You know, I fish them a lot for the calico bass, but I've caught tuna on them. I've caught lingcod on them. I've caught freshwater species on them, you know, the bass, and it just works. It's one of those, and then of course you get confidence in it, and you know you can throw it at anything. So back to what we started off with. I want to remind everybody, if you go to abandofanglers.com, and there's a link at the very top, and it's going to have all that information about this investment opportunity with a band of anglers. If people have questions about this, Patrick, if they want more information, is there a way to get a hold of you or to ask questions on that web page?
Yeah, so definitely the web page itself, because again, I'm not a specialist of invest crowdfunding. I'm a specialist of my own company. But so they have there's a hotline, there's a place you can enter your messages and ask them all kind of questions. And you can also ask questions directly on our page. And we follow that. I mean, for the moment, there was only 1 or 2 questions. There's not many at this moment. But that's why you can or leave your question directly on the page itself, on the Band of Anglers page, I mean, or there's another location on their website where you can come with more general question. And in that case, that's going to be the Start Engine people who just go. And I want to mention one thing. One of the reasons of their success is the easiness of this. I mean, literally, you can buy shares when you go on startengine.com of Band of Anglers or other companies' campaign who are up there. And literally, it's just a little bit more work than if you want to buy a book on Amazon. It's really almost that simple. In 1 to 3 minutes max, you're done. You spend your 200, 400, 100,000 if you want, very, very quickly. Actually, for the large amount, I think $10,000 or $25,000. Some amount you have to make a wire transfer, but that's in a bigger amount. But $2,500 or less, for sure, you just can use your credit card and just go through quick and easy.
Well, it's very cool. It gives people an opportunity to be a part of, a great company, and certainly a product that I believe in. It's a cool opportunity. I'm hoping it is a big success for you, Patrick, because I want to keep fishing the lures.
Well, really, thank you, Jim, and thanks everybody who joined. I hope some of you will be interested, and I see you part of the band very soon.
That's awesome. All right, Patrick. Well, thank you so much, and the best of luck to you. And I'm sure I'll be chatting with you again soon.
Very soon, for sure.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. I know this ran considerably longer than one of our normal shows, but we did want to talk about this opportunity with Patrick and a band of anglers. It just kind of fell together that timed up with when I was going to be airing that Florida episode. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know we haven't been doing any shows for a long time, so I do appreciate those of you that did come in and watch the show. If you ever have any questions, comments, please forward to me. I'm always happy to answer. If you are getting out on the water, please remember, always wear your PFD and keep your paddle right side up, and share our videos with your friends. Take care.